Good evening, everyone. My brother Lark and I are both honored to be the student speakers here tonight, and we'd like to start by thanking the advancement team and financial aid to give us this opportunity. All the scholarship recipients here come from the different backgrounds, have had their own unique challenges and stories to tell, but the gratitude that we feel towards our benefactors remains the same. Lark and I hope to express that gratitude through our stories of how we came to Wesleyan and what your support has meant to us. You know, this is a joint speech, and we thought about memorizing it and reciting it in unison, but that was sounding a little creepy, so we cut that out, and we'll be trading off instead. And with that, I'll let Lark take it on.
Good evening. My story with Wesleyan began 2 years ago when I was walking into Peoria Ballet, where I was at that time working as a dance instructor. I had just passed by the receptionist when he called back to me, "Hey Lark, someone called for you, some lady at a Wesley University, Illinois, I think." "Oh," I said. So, as I would later learn, that lady calling was Jean Kerr, the head of the theater department, and that job was the adjunct position I now hold here, teaching ballet, 2 courses per semester. As I'm a transfer student, and a non-traditional one at that, as you've just heard, I'll have to take a few steps to explain the scope of my Wesleyan experience, and naturally, that means I'll have to go back to my childhood. My early education was a mix of homeschooling and 6 different grade schools, and then my high school was mostly online. By the time the summer before my senior year came around, I had been training as a ballet dancer for 11 years. This took me to programs in Chicago, Philadelphia, Houston, Washington, D.C., among a few others. And I would spend my summers there training or visits during the year. When I was 17, I made the jump to the professional level. Instead of going through my senior year, as most children do, I cut my education short by taking a GED in Kansas and beginning my first job with the Kansas City Ballet. Stayed there for 2 years, gaining experience, acclaim, and growing in my new professional life while I put my education on hold. I left Kansas City and started my 3rd season with the St. Louis Ballet when I realized that a dancer's life wasn't for me. There were many reasons for that decision, but certainly one of the biggest was that I didn't believe it would be intellectually fulfilling to me, that it wouldn't be a proper use of my natural abilities. So then I quit. I moved back to my family home in Peoria, Illinois. I got a job for $8.50 an hour at Peoria. I started my study at Illinois Central College and had no declared major. Time went on, I became an honor student. I traded my Panera job for teaching at the Peoria Ballet, and eventually that phone call already mentioned came in. I got the audition and the interview, came in, everything went well, took the job, I got to know it, I got to know my colleagues, the campus, and the culture around here. Up to this point, Wesleyan had never been on my radar as a transfer school because I had never been able to imagine affording such quality of education, even with my new job as an adjunct. You see, like the majority of middle-class American families, my family was not able to put their 3 children through college. My parents had worked all their lives for not-for-profit orchestras or universities, and though the roles of music and the arts are quite easily essentials to the human experience, they are not always treated that way in the Department of Remuneration. However, at the time, one of my father's several jobs was working at a council of independent colleges institutions, and through a benefit that organization has called the Transfer Exchange Program, I was able to, through merit and application, secure a full tuition scholarship to Wesleyan. All was well, except that my father's position was eliminated in the summer, which meant for me that the scholarship vanished into thin air, and because I was past the accept-decline deadline for the fall, I had to either pay full tuition or suddenly take a forced gap year. And both of those, of course, felt like non-options, but bottom lines are bottom lines. In this crisis, I spoke with my admissions contacts, and to make the story shorter, they found enough scholarship money to make it possible for me to come here. Thank you to them. I'm sure there's even more I'm skipping over than I know about. Since then, I've worked through some of the hardest semesters of my major and managed to maintain my professional dance life with a few freelance gigs each year. And I've received here, besides the superior education that the university gives its students, the opportunity to be one student among the 51% who study abroad. This past summer, I traveled to the Philippines through a program facilitated by the university. I received an accredited internship, plus the work experience and the opportunity to enrich my experience of life forever. It was 2 months I worked and studied there, and I have to say it was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. I won't go into further detail on the fine academic work that goes on at this university, but I will say that it has benefited me and will continue to benefit me for my life long. In closer detail, this is the place, and these are the people that have guided me through and built me up in this time, from my decision to be an English major to my ambitions to attend law school. Thank you for making this possible for me. This is my story with Wesleyan so far, and I know there will be many chapters founded upon it, but I will lend the microphone back to my sister.
So Lark told his story first because mine is a bit caught up in his. Lark explained much of our family's financial situation and our need to be as frugal as possible when it came to attending college. So after I graduated high school, also as a homeschooled student, I decided to begin my college education at the community college in our hometown. During this academic year, Lark began teaching at Wesleyan, and I basically came along for the ride. Every Thursday, we would make the hour drive together from Peoria to Bloomington. He would teach, and I would take a lesson from Dr. Ilya Radoslavov, the head of the piano department here at Wesleyan. Picking a college was especially challenging for me as a pianist. As a musician, your private teacher is one of the most important, and if not the most important factor when choosing a college to attend. I didn't have the means to travel across the country and take many lessons from various teachers to pick and choose from, but I felt confident that Dr. Radoslavov was who I'd want to spend the next 4 years with. The prospect of studying with Dr. Radoslavov was my main motivation to apply to Wesleyan, but there were many other aspects that put it high on my list. Its liberal arts focus, its proximity to my hometown, and the small size were all ideal to me. It quickly became my number one choice, although my most expensive option. Without aid, I would have never been able to attend, so I can't tell you how happy I was when I received news after my audition that I had received the director's scholarship. Upon reading the email that asked if I would accept or decline, I apparently made a noise out of excitement that made my mother rush in thinking I'd hurt myself. And then when telling my father, I don't think I've ever seen him more proud. Excuse me, stage management. Now that I'm here, I'm thankful every day to be attending Wesleyan. The School of Music's program is developing me into a well-rounded musician, and my general education classes and arts management minor are turning me into a real knowledgeable businesswoman. Besides my classes, I've had real opportunities for genuine work experience while I'm in school. My job as the music librarian has taught me a great deal about the inner workings of orchestras, and my role as organizer of hired players has put me in a position of management already. I was also recently asked to represent my class as a member of the Student Advisory Committee in the School of Music. As a part of this committee, I will work directly with the faculty to make decisions to better the department, and I will continue to grow my knowledge of arts organizations. When I graduate, I won't just graduate with a promise of knowledge to my future employers, but with real proof, and which is an incredible value that Wesleyan has brought to me. I'm not shy of saying that I'm a hardworking person, but without resources, even the most determined people can only go so far. I'm so glad to have this time to develop at Wesleyan, and it would have never been possible without the generous support of my benefactors. Benefactors, what you do unlocks incredible potential in the students that you sponsor that might otherwise lay dormant. So thank you very much.
And thank you from all of us. The stories Star and I have just shared with you are specific to our circumstances, but they share many of the same markings of those from our fellow students. You are what make this life a reality for all those who receive the benefits of your kindness and your investments towards our futures. We students will take them, what we learn here, and use throughout our whole lives, many of us becoming leaders in the professional world and thereby shaping it. In helping us achieve that, you have done something that all we do afterwards is predicated upon. Whatever glories and achievements we attain, you will have a share in them. Again, thank you. We are so grateful for what you've done for us and for the opportunity to tell you that tonight.